My dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, the liturgy of 27th Sunday invites us to correlate with God's design for us, to fulfill God's will in every day of our life, and finally bear good fruits in God's vineyard. Today, in the first reading, Prophet Isaiah speaks to us through the metaphor of a vineyard, painting a vivid picture of God's relationship with His people. God is the owner of a vineyard, loving and caring gardener who diligently prepared the soil, planted choice vines, and built a watchtower to protect the vineyard. However, despite of all God's efforts, the vineyard yielded wild grapes, sour and useless. This represents the unfaithfulness and disobedience of the people of Israel. Let us ask ourselves, what kind of fruit do I bear? In the second reading, a world often filled with negativity and distraction, Paul encourages us to fix our thoughts and things that are true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy. By intentionally directing our minds towards these positive and virtuous aspects of life, we cultivate a mindset of peace which aligns with God's will. When we live out our faith in a practical way, the God of peace remains with us, guiding our steps and providing the strength needed to navigate life's challenges. In today's Gospel reading, Jesus tells a parable about a vineyard, and in this parable, He imparts profound spiritual lessons that we should reflect upon. The story begins with a landowner who planted a vineyard, set a hedge around it, dug a winepress, and built a tower. Then he leased it to the tenants and went on a journey. When the time for the harvest came, he sent his servants to collect the produce. But the tenants mistreated and killed them. He sent more servants and they met the same fate. Finally, he sent his own son, thinking that they would respect him, but the wicked tenants killed him too. This parable is a powerful allegory of God's relationship with humanity. The landowner represents God, the vineyard symbolizes Israel, the servants are the prophets sent by God, and the Son is Jesus Himself. It is a story of God's patience, mercy, and love for His people, despite their reaction and mistreatment of His messengers. It serves a warning to the religious leaders of Jesus' time, but it is also a message for all of us. God has entrusted us with His vineyard, the world, and expects us to bear good fruits through our lives. He sent His messengers, prophets, and ultimately His Son Jesus to guide us in righteousness and faithfulness. Yet, like the wicked tenants in the parable, we too can be tempted by selfishness, pride, and greed. The question for us today is, are we bearing good fruits in God's vineyard? Are we responding to His call with faith and obedience? Are we turning away, rejecting His guidance, and mistreating His messengers? As we reflect on this parable, let us remember that we are stewards of God's creation and recipients of His abundant love and grace. We are called to be the faithful and fruitful tenants in His vineyard. Let us not harden our hearts, but instead let us respond to God's call with open hearts, recognizing the gift of His Son, Jesus, who is the cornerstone of our faith. In a world filled with distractions and temptations, May we remain steadfast in our commitment to live faithful disciples, bearing the fruit of love, compassion, and justice in God's vineyard. Let us embrace the cornerstone, Jesus Christ, and build our lives upon the teachings and grace. May the Lord help us to be fruitful and faithful tenants in His vineyard, for in doing so, we honor His great love and fulfill His divine plan for our lives. May God bless you all. Have a blessed Sunday.